Hello and welcome to basically a full guide of what I believe is the #1 prop firm in 2026. I've personally taken over $50,000 in payouts with Lucid over the last few months alone, it being the main prop firm I'm currently trading, and my students also taking tens of thousands of dollars from them on a weekly basis. They pay traders out in quite literally minutes, and I did make a guide on this a few months ago. Back when they had the black accounts, they had a Lucid Pro, Flex, Black, and Direct. And they recently got rid of the black accounts, making them legacy accounts, meaning if you still have them, you still have the XFAs, good for you, you're still trading them. They didn't ban people from them, but they did remove them from new users being able to trade them just because they weren't a fan favorite. So I am going to give you an updated version that is no longer outdated of the Lucid Pros, Flexes, and Directs, essentially a full guide covering all the accounts and all accounts are currently basically 40% off using code ALE as well. If you want to support me, you can do that. I'm going to give you a full guide right now on essentially every account size, every profit goal, every drawdown, every daily loss limit, and how to go about trading each account basically, right? So first things first, the flex accounts. You're going to see them right here. They're the most popular accounts by far. I personally trade 550K flex accounts. Those are my favorite. Doesn't even come close. Those are really the most bang for your buck you're going to get, easiest to get a payout on. I'm going to go over why that is in 1 second, right? You can see right here, they're $98 with coupon at checkout. You can use my code or anyone's code, really doesn't matter. It is going to save you a lot of money. As you can see, saves you 40% on the accounts. And consistency is 50% on eval. I'm gonna go over the rules so it looks a lot more complicated on the website. So I'm gonna go over the rules on my guide. If you guys want the guide, I will send it over to the free Discord. So just make sure you join the free Discord below. I will send it over there. Now, flex accounts are basically 98 bucks each, no activation fee. None of their accounts have activation fee. Lucid is a prop firm with zero activation fee. All your money is gonna go straight towards the eval, and that is the only dollar you have to spend with them, right? So flex accounts are my personal favorite, right? Flex accounts, you're gonna have an evaluation stage with 50% consistency rule, meaning your total profits, you can't have a trading day with more than 50% of your total profits. So if you made $2,000 one trading day and you're on a 50K where your profit goal is $3,000 and you made $2,000 in one trading day, you're gonna have to make $4,000 to pass the eval. That is pretty standard for prop firms. So the dollar amount you see here is going to be from a 25K all the way to 150K. So for a 25,000 account all the way to a 150, the profit goal range from 1.2 to 9K. So 1.2 for a 25, 3K for a 50K, 6K for a 100K, and 9K for a 150. As for the drawdown, you're going to notice it is 1,000 for the 25K, 2,000 for the 50, 3,000 for the 100, and 4.5K for the 150K. So when you're looking at ratio from what the amount of drawdown is to take profit, that or profit goal that you have to hit to pass your eval, 25K is the most bang for buck. However, from a payout standpoint, do you really only want $1,000 in drawdown? No. That is why I go for the 50Ks. You have a $2,000 drawdown with a $3,000 profit goal. Now, the only rule for eval is there's a 50% consistency rule, meaning I recommend passing these accounts over the course of 2 to 3 trading days, right? So the profit goes 3K, I'd go for $3,000 days, or for 3 $1,000 days, not $3,000 days, just so you guys understand the difference. I'm talking about 3 days where you make $1,000. I may have pronounced that a little bit poorly. So when you pass your eval and you get to the funded stage, all you need is 5 winning days. There is no consistency rule. You don't need a buffer. The minimum payout request is $500, and you are allowed to request up to 50% of your balance until you reach the payout cap. I'm going to explain how that works right now. Each account has a payout cap, meaning personally, I trade 5 accounts. I recommend copy trading 3 to 5 accounts. If you are a beginner trader, 100% trade 1 account. Stick to 1 account, and when you see progress with your strategy, that's when you start trading multiple accounts, when you have payouts and capital to back yourself. But until you have the capital and proof that you are a profitable trader with a good system, don't go splurging your money on funded. You're just going to drain your bank account by doing that. That is idiotic. I've made that mistake in the past. The winning day requirements, right? Like I said, there's 25, 50, 100, 150K. You need 5 winning days of $100 on the 25K, 150 on the 50K, 200 on the 100K, and 250 on the 150K, right? Like I said, there's no consistency rule, meaning you can literally make 5K in 1 day on each account, and then all you need to do is just stack winning days. So if you see one setup you really like, you can risk heavy on it. If it hits, you have your big winning day that made all your profits, and then you just stack small winning days. That's all you need to do, scalp small winning days. So there's no consistency, no buffer needed. You can request 50% of your balance up to $1,000 on the 25K. That's why I don't recommend trading the 25K. It's not the best payout cap. 2,000 on the 100 on the 50K. 2.5K on the 100K and 3,000 on the 150K. Sorry, I just mispronounced every single thing there. So just to refresh that, 1,000 on the 25K, 2,000 on the 50K, 2.5K on the 100K, and 3,000 on the 150K, and that is per account. That is not in total. So the way I trade Lucid is I have 5 accounts. Right, back in January, I hit a max payout with the $3,000 payout cap where I took $3,000 per account and I got paid out $15,000. Now, after the 90-10 profit split, meaning they take 10%, I only got paid out $13.5 thousand. Now, what I'm doing now is what I've been doing for the last 2 months is I've actually been taking $2,000 payouts with the 50K accounts, right, which is a profit goal of $3,000 and a drawdown of $2,000. There's no consistency, no bullshit. I literally just stack winning days after 1 or 2 big trading days, and I have a balance of $4,000. I give you an example here. Scenario, you made $3,000 per account. You can now request $1,500 per account. If you make $4,000, you can take out $2,000 per account. What if you make $5,000 per account on a 50K? You can still only request $2,000 per account. Now you are leaving yourself with a bigger buffer now. Whatever you don't request is left in your account as a buffer, to make that clear. If you make $3,000 and you request $1,500 per account, which is possible on the 50, 100, and 150K. On the 25K, you can only request 1,000, right? But let's say your request is $1,500. You now have $1,500 left in your account, which means what? Which means your buffer is, or your drawdown is no longer $2,000, but it is now $1.5 thousand. Whatever you request, whatever is left when you request is what is left as a buffer for your account. Meaning what? Meaning now you have a profit of $1.5 thousand on your 50K account. All you should be aiming for is scalping these winning days and then hitting 1 or 2 good trades. And now what? Now you're going to have a balance of like 3,000, if not 4,000, off de-risking and just going for winning days because you already have that buffer built and payouts just get easier. Now, I believe after 5 or 6 payouts, you do get moved to live. They might actually mention it here. Payouts to live 5. They're very transparent about that. After 5 payouts, you get moved to live. When it comes to platforms, there are 2 platforms, Tradeovate or Rhythmic. Now, I'm sure you guys have heard about TradeC. I have a full tutorial on how to use them as a platform. I will link that video in the description as well as a whole separate tutorial. I personally use Tradeovate only because I copy trade them with some other accounts. With Tradecopia. I'm not even sponsored by Tradecopia. I just think they're actually a good company. So since I copy traded Tradecopia, I use Tradeovate because it's just a lot more easier to copy trade with. I don't like the way the Rhythmic data feed copy trades. It does copy trade a little bit delayed. However, if I weren't copy trading, I would use TradeC because you could drag, take profit, and stop loss, which is something I know a lot of people have been missing after Project X got taken away from basically every prop firm, right? Now, another account is the Lucid Pros, right? The Lucid Pros are the second best accounts in my opinion. You have Flex, Pros, and then Direct. I will tell you right now, don't get a Direct account. They're so expensive. I trade Lucid as a main prop firm. I love them. I'm telling you to stay away from them. They're expensive. They're going to get you with those, all right? So the Lucid Pros, evaluation phase. There is no consistency rule. Unlike the Flex account, there's a 50%, right? There's no consistency rule. Now the profit goals are the exact same, right? With the drawdown being the same and the profit goal being the exact same, you'll notice that. There's no difference there. 3,000 on the 50K, 6,000 on the 100, 9K on the 150. Drawdown is the same. The only difference is since it is a one-day pass, they're going to get you with a daily loss limit, which on a 25K, I put dash because since the drawdown is $1,000, I guess they figured it's so low, they can't put a daily loss limit. So let me fix this for you guys. So there's actually no daily loss limit there. On the 25Ks. On the 50Ks, there's a 1.2 thousand daily loss limit. On the 100Ks, there's a 1.8 thousand daily loss limit. And on the 150Ks, there's a 2.7 thousand daily loss limit. Which in reality, I noticed a lot of traders, this actually might save you. Because if you don't know how to manage your risk on prop firms, a daily loss limit is actually very beneficial for your trading. However, if you're someone who knows what you're doing and you think that you should be risking heavy, this might not be the account for you. I do think it builds discipline with some traders. It has helped me a lot in the past. It's locked me out of my accounts while I've been on tilt and honestly has helped me. The thing is, once you hit this daily loss limit, your account's low-key cooked Because what? You lose 1.2K on a $2,000 drawdown. You have 40% of what you once had left in your drawdown, which is kind of cooked. You can't really, you're gonna have to de-risk significantly or just bang your next trade, basically, right? Funded stage is the exact same as the flex account in the profit split side of things, where it's 90-10 split. You keep 90%, the prop firm keeps 10%. That is the biggest bullshit in the trading space. 10% is not going to the prop firm. You're trading fake money. The fake money is just going into thin air. It's just a way for them to pay you less money so they pocket more. If you make $30,000 on a funded account and they keep 10% of that, which is $3,000, there's no real money there. You're trading a fake account. They're just not paying you out an extra sum. But yeah, on the funded stage, the difference between the Flex and the Lucid Pros, you're going to realize is there's a consistency rule and a daily loss limit. And the payout cap also has a tier system, which I'm going to show you right now. I don't know why I couldn't get the image up here. But there's a 40% consistency rule on funded. Meaning what? Meaning for every $1,000 you make, you can't have a trading day that was more than $400. So if you made, let's just say for the sake of 40%, if you made $10,000 on an account, more than $4,000 could not have come from a single trading day, right? That basically covers the 40% consistency rule if you're not familiar with that. Payout cap is a tier system. I'm going to show you that right now. Buffer of $100 over drawdown required to take a payout. And it also has a daily loss limit of 0. Same thing as the eval phase, 0 on the 25K, 1.2 on the 50, 1.8 on the 100, and 2.7 on the 150. Exact same daily loss limit and drawdown as the evaluation phase, right? Only difference is to get a payout, you need a 40% consistency rule. The payout cap is a little bit different. I'm going to go over that right now. Every time you get a payout, they allow you to take more money out. So I will show you that right now. When I say buffer over $100 of drawdown required, I mean for the 50Ks to take a payout, you need to make at least $2,100, right? So if you make $2,500, you cannot take a payout. Why? Because the minimum payout is $500, meaning you need to make $500 over the buffer, which the buffer is $100 over drawdown. So if you have a $2,000 drawdown on a 50K, you need to make at least $500 on top of $2,100. So I gave you a scenario here. You make $3,000 per funded account. Here you made $3,000. You can only request $1,500. Here you made $3,000. You can only request $900 because the difference between $3,000 and $2,100, which is what you need to make over your buffer, is going to be $900, right? What's the difference though? Is here you're left with $1,500 per account, and here you're left with $2,100 per account, which personally I don't mind at all because I do believe that you are left with a bigger buffer. It is easier to get multiple payouts when you're left with a bigger buffer because you can significantly de-risk and just stack winning days and get those payouts following this 40% consistency rule, which isn't that bad, and following no consistency here, right? So what I personally do is go for $3,000 to $4,000 balances on the flex accounts and then take a $1.5 to $2,000 payout across 5 accounts. On the pros, I haven't traded the pros in a while. I traded them last month and I actually ended up blowing them, but I did do very well with them. I did $22,000 in payout with them back in December of 2025. I basically made exactly what the scenario says. I made $2,900 per account. I requested $800 across 4 accounts. Then I had a buffer of $2,100. I think I made like another $1,000 on top of the accounts after that. And then I requested a $1,000 payout. And then I made 1.5K over the buffer. I had a balance of 3.8 thousand, and I requested $1.5 thousand per account. And that eventually added up, I think after 4 payouts, to like $20,000. Let me show you what I mean by payout. You're gonna see Lucid Pro payouts, right? You're gonna see right here, minimum and maximums. All right, so the minimum payout's obviously $500. You're gonna see it's very consistent throughout each account. Now, for payouts 1 on the $25,000 accounts, you can only take, oh, they did change the rules. Wow. They did change the rules. You see right here, when I tell you it's just $100 over the buffer, so it's the initial max loss limit plus $100. So on the 25K, it's 1,100, 2,100, 3,100, and 4,600. It's literally just $100 over whatever your drawdown is, right? So just calculate that, and then you have to make at least $500 over that number to take a payout. Now, for payouts, for the first payout, you have a payout cap of $2,000 on the 50K, $2,500 on the 100K, and $3,000 on the 150K. Now, after the second payout, it changes. Basically, you just get an extra $500 per account, which if you have 5 accounts adds up to an extra $2,500. Now, this is very different to what it used to be. If you guys remember my last video, I'm actually surprised by this. I didn't even look at this because I thought it was going to be the same as it used to be. It used to be payouts 1 to 2, 1,500 for the 50Ks, then 2,000 for the 100Ks, then 2,500 for the 150Ks, and then payouts 3 to 4 was just an extra $500 per each account, and then payouts 5 through 6 was another $500, and then payouts 6 and on was, I think it wasn't unlimited, but it was like a lot more. Or that's when you can move to live. I'm an idiot. That's when you can move to live, 6 and on. You can move to live after your 5th payout. So yeah, this is very interesting and new to me. I'm not gonna lie, which is kind of unprofessional, but so be it. Fuck it. You have a $2,000 payout cap on the 50K, and then it goes to $2,500 after your second payout and on. $2,500 off the bat on the 100Ks, and then it goes to $3,000 and on. $3,000 on the 150Ks, and then it goes to $3,500 on after your second payout. You can move to live after your 5th payout, I believe. They are pretty transparent with that. Let's see if they mention it right here. Lucid Pro, funded rules, payouts to live 5. Same thing as the flex. Here's one thing I'm going to show you about the direct accounts before I end this video. I don't want to make it too long for you guys, too complicated. Look at the price. You're paying $250 for a 25K. You're paying $360 for a 50K. You're paying $500 for a 100K. You're paying $600 for a 150. That is on sale. On sale. I would never tell you guys to buy these accounts. These are so out of budget and unrealistic. On top of that, to get a payout, no evaluation stage, 20% consistency rule. They have a daily loss limit similar to the pro accounts on each account of $0 on the 25K, 1.2K on the 50, 2.1 on the 100s, and 3K on the 150s. They have a profit target. Even though it's an instant funding, the funded accounts have a profit target. Meaning what? Meaning if you want to get a payout, you need to make 1.5 thousand on the 25Ks. You need to make 3,000 on the 50Ks. You need to make 6,000 on the 100Ks, and you have to make 9,000 on the 150s. Now, I do think the 50Ks are reasonable. Do I think they're reasonably priced? No, I think that the actual rules are reasonable, right? But they do have a payout cap of 1,000 on the 25Ks, 2,000 on the 50Ks, 2.5K on the 100Ks, and 3,000 on the 150s. Meaning on a 150 instant funding, if you make $9,000, the most you can withdraw is 3,000. That's fucking terrible, dude. This isn't that bad. The 6K 2.5, that's very similar to the Pro if you get the 100Ks, but I just don't believe that is. These are sustainable accounts. I think a 20% consistency rule is also ridiculous. I would never trade these unless you win them in a giveaway or unless Lucid just blessed you with them for some reason in a giveaway. Yeah, I just would never pay for these. I think the pros and the flexes are both great. If you guys want this full spreadsheet, I will send it to you in the free Discord. I hope you guys learned something about how Lucid functions as a prop firm and why I promote them so much. I truly believe they are the #1 prop firm out there today and the easiest to make big money with. So if you guys learned something, or if you guys have any more questions, feel free to comment. I will be there to answer. I hope you guys all had a blessed day and learned something new. Peace out.